128 nicker. Thank God this will feed us for a couple of weeks. Let's bang in some brisket tacos with a chipotle and lime ranch sauce. Will it beat me more's brisket? Right, I'm going to take you through some of my tricks and tips to snag you the best brisket. And yes, just a tip, you bloody filthy animal. And the size of my meat today is 7.6 kilos or about 16.6 pounds. Now you want a nice uniform shape and you want the flat as thick as possible so we're not going to waste it on a lot of trim. And obviously have a look to see if you can see some beautiful marbling through the meat. There's my tips before you even start smoking. Prostate glove on. Let's get her undressed. Right, we're gonna keep it simple, stupid. Just a real quick trim so the fat caps are around about 1/2 to 1 centimetre thick. We're certainly not pulling out the vernier calipers to check that. Take a look from the side, you can see it. Whenever there's hard fat, you're just gonna skim your knife over the top, put that to the side because we'll turn that into tallow and shave it off. That's really it. That's about all we need to do for the fat cap side of it. Now, I normally wouldn't say this, but remember if it's hard, you're gonna take it off. Now, what I will say, obviously you've got the flat end, which is the thin end, the point being the thicker, pointy end. You can trim the fat a lot harder than you would say on the flat, so don't stress if you get down to the meat on that end because there's a lot more intramuscular fat. Hot tip, put some alfoil or some baker's paper underneath and you can just turn the brisket where you wanna trim as opposed to you maneuvering around, a lot easier. You might have to get your fingers in and have a bit of a feel. If it's super thick, obviously moving your hand from the way. Now to round out the trimming step, what you want to do is trim around the edges to make it aerodynamic. Any flappy little bits hanging off, get rid of them. We'll turn that into mince later on. Overhang, we don't need big beef curtains. Just going to trim that back so we've got a nice aerodynamic line all the way down the brisket. And that can go into mince later on. Right, so the brisket trim will go into the freezer until it's par frozen. That way it would mince a lot easier. Then all the excess fat, they'll go into the smoker, render down, and then we'll use the tallow at the end of the cook when we're in the wrapping process. A quick Vegemite slurry. No, not that kind of slurry. Calm down. It's just a thin coat of that Vegemite slurry across your meat. Then that will help the rub adhere by about an additional 10 to 20%. Just double it all over. I'm using a coffee-based rub. Backyard barbecue works wonderfully well with bread meat. Season from about 50 to 70 centimeters high. That will give you a nice, even coverage. So I'll probably work on, so 1/2 of the brisket running lengthways, come back down, hand to guide the rub back into the meat and then do the other half running lengthways. Now you know you've got enough rub where you can only just see the ruby red of the meat coming through. So if you can, give it another quick light coat. And for God's sake, pat, don't rub. Save that for the bloody bedroom. And if you can eat all sides, season all sides. Righto, flip her over, with the Vegemite slurry. Right, now that you seasoned up your meat, because I'm smoking at about 0500 tomorrow morning, I've done all my prep the night before. I'm gonna bang this into the fridge and we'll rip it out just before we fire up the smoker.
Arc her up with some cardboard soaked in olive oil.
Today we're using ironbark and smoking lower than a snake's belly. Right, when your pit's at around 250 Fahrenheit, 120 Celsius, you're gonna bang your meat on, and then we're not even gonna touch it for the next 3 or 4 hours. Coffee drinking or beer drinking, go on. Oh, don't forget to throw your beef tallow on. Your beef tallow on the rack tenderly. Now while the subcutaneous fat layers will render down at about 60 Celsius, you shouldn't have any dramas in your smoker, but I just like to have it at the hotter end. Render down quicker, then I can smack it back into a glass jar. As you can see there, the smoke is almost invisible, just a light blue tinge to it. You know you're ready to smoke like that. And this is the consistency that you want to aim for through the entire bloody smoke. Keep me and Ma happy, tend to your fire. I'm using forearm sized pieces of wood. Right, it's been about 3.5 hours. Let's take a quick bo peep. Bark's starting to come along nicely, getting a nice little cross on the top. Not ready for a spritz or anything yet. Getting pretty close though. The old scratch test, you can still see a bit of rub coming off there. We're going to bang the leftovers back into the smoker, crisp them up, and then have a cheeky little pitmaster snack.
As you can see, we're going to keep them moist with a spritz. Well, equalise the surface temperature anyway.
Quick dice of some green capsicum and some corn. If you haven't got yourself one of these, you've got fucking rocks in your head. Righto, let's crack on with the chipotle and lime ranch sauce. Sour cream, Kewpie mayo, chicken stock, apple cider vinegar, 3 tablespoons of chipotle sauce, onion powder, salt, some chopped dill, and the juice of 1 lime. And about a teaspoon of targin. And 2 cloves of minced garlic. Righto, first thing we're gonna do, pour some of that beef tallow from the rendering straight over the top. Probably gonna go, aim for about a cup. Right now we're gonna boat it. So thick alfoil down the bottom and basically gonna roll it up almost like an empanada. Now back into the smoker until you can push a probe through it and it feels like warm apple pie. Don't forget to crack those brisket trims straight into your head. How bloody good. This is where we're going to test the doneness. Very little resistance. As you can see here, this is through the point end. Yeah, so I like to be as efficient as possible. No need to throw your brisket in an esky, etc. Shut down your smoker. This will act as a perfect place to rest your brisket for the next couple of hours. Bang this into your neck. Oh, get stuffed. Right, the flats are normally the driest part. Let's take a gander, see how we went. The corn, tomato, capsicum mix. Look at that. Let's bang this into our head. Cheers, you weapons. A little acidity from that ranch sauce cuts through that brisket beautifully. Fucking bang it in.